Well, Emily joins us now, and it's horrible, isn't it? You shouldn't even have to be talking about something like this.
I'm shaking.
I know, I can imagine. Yeah, you'll be absolutely fine. And this has been going on for a very long time, actually.
Yeah.
Sort of men's attitudes and behaviour towards you has been unacceptable since 10 years old.
Yeah. I mean, I think this is, again, something that we've completely normalised for most girls. There'll be so many girls watching this that understand this, that when, from a very young age, we start our periods, our bodies change, we grow breasts, and all of a sudden men are looking at us differently. And I am speaking very personally, I can't speak on behalf of every woman.
But a lot of women will understand that,
I feel like we are sexualised from a very young age in society. And it was a behaviour that was projected onto me that I felt I had to lean into slightly, which then makes me come to the question of have I been asking for it my whole life? Because it was as a child leaning into that behaviour.
Leaning into it in what way?
In certain... And I've learnt this through years of therapy, if certain behaviour is projected onto you, you have to find a coping mechanism. And my coping mechanism was to wear more makeup, wear shorter skirts sometimes. That's very hard for me to admit on live television. People will have their opinions on that. But it was behaviour that I was so terrified and confused about as a child. It was a way of coping.
It's almost like, if I can't control the reaction, I'm going to control this.
Exactly.
And then at least I'm in control of one part of it,
Yes.
so I've got a say in what's happening.
Yeah. And if a man is saying sexually explicit things to you from a young age, you know, various men are saying it, you want to try and take control of something that, as a child, you don't really understand about.
As an adult, you don't understand.
Well, you went to talk to a group of 16-year-old teenagers,
Yes.
didn't you? About their experiences.
Yeah.
What did they say?
God, I was so emotional that day. There was one particular girl that said, I feel more vulnerable in my school uniform. She said, I'm going to school every day. I really, really value my education. I'm just trying to be a child. And she said, I could put up a picture on my social media of, they're all sitting in their classrooms putting things up. She said, it is worse when I'm in my school uniform. At a time where you should feel most safe is at school with your teachers, with your peers, with a uniform on that's meant to, in a sense, protect you. You're a part of something and you're a part of a school and you're being
Well, it
looked
confirms
after.
your age, actually,
Absolutely.
which is the most shocking thing about it.
Yeah, exactly.
These men are anonymous. I mean, they may have accounts online, but you don't know who they are. You did reach out to them, sort of turn the tables slightly in the documentary, and nobody got back in contact with you.
No, well, one of them did. One of them blocked me, and then another guy did get in contact with me and told me why he sent the messages, and that broke my heart, and that was psychologically very difficult for me to deal with, because he basically said to me that I come across as a type of girl that is up for that kind of behaviour. I'm easy access, I'm an easy target, I'm by myself, I don't have a partner, I have reputations for, sleeping with loads of men, and it just shows that you can't be a sexually liberated woman, you can't celebrate your body, you can't celebrate your youth without people thinking that you are asking for negative attention and...
Or that they're entitled to a piece.
Exactly.
It's like that entitlement thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel constantly that my frustration comes from I'm just trying to live my life freely without the devastating consequences.
And why shouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, the documentary is called Asking For It, which is absolutely the last thing that, sort of any woman is. I mean, you are living your life as you should be allowed to live your life.
I'm existing.
It's the issue with how they perceive it. And the Inbetweeners, probably the character of the Inbetweeners, wouldn't have helped, but that's a character. You're an actress.
It was a character that I adored playing, and I look back at that time as the most joyous, amazing time of my life. I was just starting in the industry. I was doing the lads' mags. I didn't mind doing those. I went to lovely photo shoots every day, got to wear lovely underwear. I felt sexy, I felt good.
You should be allowed to do all those things. You should be allowed to do all of those things, and that's OK. What is not OK is actually how threatening and frightening these messages can be. And I mean, there's things that I see on my own things, and you go, oh, gosh, don't want to be seeing that, don't want to be seeing that. But yours seem... I mean, it was frightening. It shocked me when I read some of them. Yeah, it's really upsetting, and you feel, when you get messages like that, the isolation it makes you feel anyway, you feel so alone and isolated, and... So, but then it just reminds you how alone you are, because you look around you and they remind you in the messages, they say, I know you're by yourself, I know you've got nobody
protecting you. And it's just this like negative domino effect of self-doubt and violation and shame and guilt.
Well, you say, oh God, I mean, I can't. I mean, we'll get on to how useless the companies are to police.
There's no accountability.
There is absolutely no accountability. As much as they say that there is, there isn't. You say that that you feel like you're sexually assaulted 100 times a day. There is one person who I know comes back and back and back, and you block them and they create a new account, and block them and they create a new account. And he says that that he is sending you the hideous stuff that he sends you whilst his wife and children are asleep.
Yeah, he says that he tucks his children into bed and then comes online to abuse me, and then says, well, sometimes he asks if I'll get involved with him and his wife, and then he says, I want to do it behind my wife's back while my children are asleep. He calls himself Daddy Dave to me. And constantly says the word daddy, daddy, which, like, is a really psychologically horrible...
Does he show his face? Does he show his face? You've never seen his face?
I know, it's
because
horrible.
What you want more than anything is you want to be able to track these people down. You want to be able to stop them, identify them, because because of what they're putting you through. Many people would say that it was unfair, that you should expose them and this is the guy, this is the man that's doing it, this is his face.
I'm terrified of exposing someone and then I've ruined their life, you know?
Well, I don't think you need to be worrying about anybody apart from yourself.
What about Parliament? We know is useless. It's still going on. No matter the amount of times that they say they're doing something about it, and they put all sorts of people in place, and they put all sorts of departments.
Yeah, they were shocked when I was marching in there.
Yeah, absolutely. What about the actual companies? Because you know, when it comes to Instagram and TikTok and Twitter, do they do anything to help you?
No. I've reported things so many times. I actually once put up there was a message that was so upsetting to me that I put it up, and my account was actually suspended for a couple of days.
Suspended you?
Suspended my account because I reposted the photograph, and it was obviously a very graphic, horrible photograph, saying, please, can you sort this out? And they suspended my account. So you just kind of go...
That's the algorithm, because you're not dealing with people.
No, you're dealing with robots. It's like it's not real people. And also this block and delete method that people keep saying I need to do. OK, I can block and delete a message. I'm well within my power to see a message and I can delete it. But it's not deleted from my mind. And also the behaviour and the intention behind that photograph that man has done, that he's already halfway there to doing something even worse. And look what happens. When somebody tells me to block and delete, they are telling me to turn a blind eye and ignore the problem. Look what happens when we ignore. You know, Wayne Couzens, David Carrick, these men were flashers. We know this, and we know that they were flashers. We know that they were known in their WhatsApp groups. They went under names that implied that they were dangerous men, and nothing was done. So these behaviours that are being seen as minor and that you should just ignore and block and delete, they're going on to do terrible things.
With that in mind, what would make a difference? I mean, it's a huge problem, isn't it?
It's a huge... There's so many threads to it and so many layers. I thought initially it was all about the law, and when I went to Parliament and I did a speech in there, and I felt like it was being listened to. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on hold there. At first, I thought it was about the law because, it would feel nice it would give me a bit of comfort it would make me think that they're taking it seriously. So there's that. But then what I've learned through the process of the documentary, it's about attitudes, and it's about this normalised behaviour that we've grown to just accept for generations and generations. It's trying to unpeel this insane problem that has just been happening since the beginning of time. And that is where people's frustrations come in and say, but catcalling isn't too bad, flashing is not too bad, pinching a girl's bum at work isn't too bad. You know, it's these normalised behaviours that we've normalised and internalised, and sometimes that feels impossible to change. But I just...
Something's got to.
I feel like I'm on like this crusade with it now, and I can't, I won't delete my Instagram. I'm not going to change the way I look, the way I dress. The fact is, this is happening to women globally, whether you are a sex worker or a nun, it is happening. And this is what I'm understanding. It has nothing to do with you as a person. It's nothing to do with what you look like. If there's any girl out there that's questioning themselves and going, should I change this, should I change that? I've been there, and I still do that. But what I'm saying is, and what I've learned, is that this isn't about you, it's about them and their need for power and control. Power and control.
And are you beginning
words.
to believe that too?
I'm beginning to, yes.
I hope so.
Yes,
Are you okay?
I'm fine. I always will be. I have an amazing support network. I'm a very emotional, sensitive person. I'm also very tired, which I think is why I'm a bit teary today. But
listen, look at the subject we're talking about.
Yeah, and
what's happened to you?
I'm frustrated, and I want people to really start understanding that our safety as women and girls, as obviously men as well, but at the moment we're talking about women and girls, our safety should not be up for debate.
A UN study revealed that 73% of women surveyed had experienced online violence, including harassment or abuse. The pandemic saw a huge increase of online abuse towards women and non-binary people by 46%, and this is even higher for black women at 50%. Black women are also 84% more likely to receive abuse than white women. That makes incredibly depressing reading.
It's so depressing, and as I said, like, you know, these problems, they're not being listened to enough. It gets put to the back of the pile. Our safety and our mental health, our psychology, it should not be up for debate in that way.
And so very, very much more should be done by the companies that are actually peddling this stuff and say that we're very much aware of it, but there is no accountability. Asking for it is tonight at 9 on BBC Two. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Very much.